Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Italy, a place to love. So, you are welcome to my daily video where I like to talk about Italy. So, Italy, a place to love, and Italy, a place to know. So, what do we have to know today about Italy? Today, I want to talk about the salaries. So might be something that you are not aware. You might know that, for example, from abroad, that salaries in Italy, it's well known to not be very high comparing to the average in Europe. But so let's investigate a bit in the world of the salaries in Italy. And all we have to know about, for example, the differences between the north of Italy and the south of Italy. Okay, let's start reading this interesting article that I found. So, salaries. Which are the Italian cities where you earn the most? Okay, so let's start reading and let's answer to this very important question. Now, here, the first paragraph said, according to data from the Job Pricing Observatory, Lombardy, with Milan in the lead, is the region where people earn the most. On the contrary, cities in the south have lower salaries, which often favor the brain drain towards the region of northern Italy, and not only, but also is a brain drain that also goes abroad because the majority of the southern Italians that are living, I'd say, is 50-50. 50% goes to the north of Italy, but 50% go abroad. Then I was part, for example, of this one from the who left the north of Italy because when I was in my 20s, me that I was born in the north of Italy, I left the north of Italy. So it's not only a trend, first of all, that starts from the south of Italy, but it's a general trend in Italy. Here they like to point the fact that many southern Italians are going to the north of Italy, which is actually true, but not only. There are northern Italians that are going abroad and southern Italians that are also going abroad. Now, salaries. Let's read this paragraph. Salaries. Milan is the city with the highest salaries in Italy. Milan is the Italian city with the highest salaries. This is what recently emerged from the Geography Index of the Job Pricing Observatory, according to which the average annual salary in the city of Milan is equal to 37,661 euros. Now, here it's a pity they're not saying if this salary is gross or net. Okay, because according to me, this salary, 37,000 euro, is not, we are not talking about a net salary, but is gross. Why I'm saying this? Because if we say that an average salary in Milan is 2,000 euro net per month, it means per 12 months should be around 24,000 euros. Plus maybe the 13th salary, we might reach 26,000, 27,000 euro net. But again, to say that the average salary in Milan is 2,000 euro a month, I believe is still too high according to the average. So, according to me, the net salary in Milan could be between 1,500 and 1,700 euro net. Then the rest are taxes that the worker is paying. So basically, from a 37,000 euro gross, you might get maybe 18, 19, let's say 17, just to make it. But let's say 20 means 17,000 euro is just going in taxes, which the taxation for the workers are very, very high in Italy. But let me say one thing that in Italy, for example, when you are paying the taxes, you are also paying for the pension scheme, plus you are paying also for the health system, which is not private. So we still have a public health system. So that's why the taxation from this 37,000 euro gross, at least 15, 16, 17,000 euro a year just goes in taxes. But consider that you are paying for the pension and then you're paying for the health system. Now, the study has drawn, let me select this paragraph. The study has drawn an accurate map of the different salaries level in the various regions of Italy. At the national level, the average salary is 31,442 euros, again, gross, but only a third of the country, 7 regions and 35 provinces exceed this threshold. Now, Lombardy confirms itself as the region with the highest salaries. Lombardy, obviously, Milan is the capital of Lombardy, followed by Lazio. Now, Rome is the capital of Lazio. Then we have Trentino Alto Adige and Liguria. In the last places, instead, are Sicily, Calabria, and Basilicata. So, according to these statistics, the regions where the salaries are the lowest in Italy are these 3 regions: Sicily, Calabria, and Basilicata. As for the provinces, Milan confirms itself in the first place, followed by Bolzano and Trieste. Bolzano is in Trentino Alto Adige region and Trieste is in Friuli Venezia Giulia Friuli Venezia Giulia region. These 2 regions are at the border with Austria and Slovenia, so they are in the northeastern part of Italy. Siena, which is in Tuscany, climbs 10 position despite remaining far from the top of the ranking. So anyway, also some cities in Tuscany, for example, they see climbing in that position. Then the gap between north and south remains significant, with the southern regions only ranking 13th and lower. All right, now wages differences between north and south. This is very important. The wage gap between north and south is still quite marked. Workers in the north earn on average 35% more than those in the south. Then, wait a second, let me select this area. All right. Then, according to the CGIA of Mestre, a worker from the north has an average gross daily wage of 101 euros. So, okay, here they are saying average gross. Now, if it's 100 euro a day per 20, let's say for per 25 days is 2,500 euro gross a month, which net could be 1,500 euro. I'd say nearly 1,000 euro goes in taxes, compared to 75 euros for a worker from the south. This imbalance is generally due to the prevalence of high value added sectors, such as manufacturing and services, in the northern regions, while in the south, agriculture and tourism prevail, sectors traditionally less profitable. Now, despite this is not really important, this paragraph here, despite the abolition of wage cages, this was a system that we had prior to 1970. In the 1970 and the adoption of national collective agreements, regional differences persist. So we had previous 1970, we had these wage cages which were carrying a differences between the salaries. Then they removed this wage cages system, but still the differences are still on the table. So basically, there is a difference in salaries still a difference in 2025 between the north and the south of Italy. Now, more and more people are emigrating from the south. Now, this is a topic that I discussed many times on my channel about the fact that generally people from the south are leaving and the depopulation problem of the south of Italy. Now, the SVIMEZ, which is an institute that reports the population moving from one place to another in Italy, report highlighted that immigration from the south to the north of Italy involves more and more graduates, who today constitute 34% of emigrants. In particular, those involved boast a background in STEM disciplines: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it's a brain drain. Again, if you have people who degrade in the universities, for example, in these subjects like science, technology, engineer, and mathematics, obviously for job opportunity, these people might decide once they graduate to leave to places with better salaries. Again, I would say 50% goes to the north of Italy and 50% goes abroad, because it's well known that many of these people are going abroad. Okay, this brain drain damages the economy of the South, especially in innovative industries, depriving them of the necessary skills. Furthermore, a quarter of workers in the South earn less than €9 an hour, considered the minimum wage for a dignified life, for a life with dignity, let's say. Anyway, again, this brain drain process damages the economy of the South, but because, and again, if there are no job opportunities, so if there are not innovative industries, obviously these people might be tempted, to leave. Then, despite the recovery of employment after the pandemic, precarious work and the loss of purchasing power make life in the South particularly difficult. Now, here I would like just to say one thing, that there is a big difference, and I might cover a video because here it seems like the cost of the life is the same in the north of Italy and in the south, but actually there is a kind of big difference. So now, a lower salary in the south of Italy might give you even a higher power purchase in the south than in the north. I was reading an article, for example, that in a town, in a city, so I'm talking about Calabria region, in a province like Catanzaro, according to a low salary, but the statistics are giving that the power purchasing is higher in Catanzaro than in Milan, even if the people in Catanzaro are earning €1,000 less, simply because, for example, the rents are much lower, food and veg are for sure lower. Then you might have prices that are, for example, similar, like the bills, the electricity or petrol. There are certain kind of things that are the same. And obviously, if you have less income, this might be a problem. But if instead of paying €1,500 a month to pay the rent, I'm paying €300, I mean, that's a big difference. That's why in some places in the South, it's still convenient, even in front of lower salaries. Now, let me read here, just one second. Wait a second. Okay, now, causes of the gap between North and South. The salary difference between the North and the South is due to various historical, economic, and structural factors. In the North, advanced industry, the presence of large companies, and higher productivity contribute to higher wages. The economy of the North is oriented towards innovation, technology, and manufacturing, sectors that require specific skills and offer higher wages. Now, I agree but partially because also the north of Italy anyway nowadays is facing a lot of problems with the job. And so I'd say that this is the typical article which is giving a lot of points always to the north of Italy, reporting how the north of Italy is fantastic and reporting how the life in the south of Italy is bad. But in the reality, I have to partially, let's say partially, disagree, simply because, for example, me that I'm witnessing the life in the south of Italy, I see more poverty in the north of Italy than in the south. In contrast, the economy of the South is more focused on agriculture, tourism, and small businesses, which tend to offer lower wages and fewer opportunities for career growth. Anyway, this is true, but again, people, in particular young people, should start using fantasy, should be more, let's say, creative, because if we don't, in the south of Italy, let's talk about the south of Italy, it's also important to be innovative and to be able to create jobs. And to create jobs, you have to be creative. The high incidence of irregular work and the scarcity of large companies also contribute to keeping wages low. Obviously, irregular jobs, this is a problem which is actually affected the south of Italy, but also the north. So I won't generalize. Again, when we read this type of articles in Italy, it's mainly to say, oh, how beautiful is the north of Italy, how bad is the south. This is a story that I heard since I was a child, so it seems like in 40 years nothing is changed, even if, again, I'm going to repeat, which I see a better quality life in the south of Italy than in the north. Infrastructures and public services are another important factor. In the northern regions, infrastructure is better and access to services is easier. On the contrary, in the south, the lack of infrastructure and the lack of investments slow down growth and qualified employment. Now, I have to agree with this because it's true that in the northern part of Italy we have more infrastructures. On the contrary, in the south, the lack of infrastructure and the lack of investments. So, the question we should ask to ourselves, in particular Italian people, is why we have less infrastructure and why had been invested less money. Because the country is one, we should have invested equally in infrastructures, but the South had been abandoned completely for the last 40, 50, even 80 years, or we might even say since the unification of Italy, since 1861, the south of Italy always had been abandoned, and infrastructures and investment always happen after, let's say, when the situation was extremely catastrophic, to say okay, there's no road, or just in small cases infrastructures have been built simply because it was necessary for a big corporation. If a big corporation moved, for example, to the south of Italy, yes, then the government is ready to build infrastructure. But if we don't have a big corporation that is moving a factory here, no one will ever do anything. So the south of Italy has been completely abandoned, and that's why there's a lack of job. That's why people constantly been living since the 170 years of the unification of Italy, and so on. Finally, the historical disparity in public and private investments between the two areas of the country has further exacerbated the gap. So it got even worse. The North has benefited more from industrial policies. Again, if there were companies or big corporation investing in the North or building factories, yes, infrastructures have been built. If you don't have, the place is completely abandoned. Capital attraction and development of technological hubs while the south of Italy has suffered from less attention in terms of economic development and investment in research and innovation. Again, here I might say that this is very important because if you have watched up to now, that the south of Italy always had a huge potential. Now, it's like a blind person who is not able to see because obviously is blind. And here in Italy, it seems like someone really wanted to close the eyes and on purpose not helping to develop the south of Italy. Because again, the south of Italy is like a carrier just in the sea, was a hub that potentially could have been developed and being anyway. The central position of Italy in the Mediterranean area, instead of focusing only on the northern part of Europe, they should also have focused for me to develop all the Mediterranean area, or anyway, connections between other parts of the Mediterranean, which this has completely uh, not nothing has been done in the history to develop this type of investments towards other destinations which were not the Northern European. All right, my friends. So this was an article just to put the attention, on this disparity between the North and South, which many of you are aware because obviously all the world is aware about the differences between North and South of Italy. So we through reading this article, I wanted to show you what kind of the governments are reporting, and then at the same time, a bit of reality brought by me, by Italy, a place to love, to show you that things are not really matching as they're saying. So things are not that good as they pretend to be in the north, and they're not that bad in the south as they pretend to say. But again, obviously, the south of Italy, I believe that there is a huge potential. And again, we'll see, for example, what's coming in the next years, um, to see how the situation is going to develop. Are we going to see an opposite trend where will move to the south of Italy? My bet is that yes, in the next 5 years, I will see this. I will witness this. And then, anyway, if I'm wrong, I will say one day, listen, I was wrong. Okay, my friends, I hope you have enjoyed this video here on Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel. After this pile of coins here on the table, the disparity between the North and South, I wish you a lovely day and I'll see you tomorrow here on Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel. Bye.